G'day, welcome back to the Hidden Why podcast. Lee here, your host as always. Looking forward to sharing this interview with you today, guys. You can check it out at thehiddenwhy.com, episode 1161. All the show notes are there and links to our guest today. And our guest today, I sit down with Vanessa Errecarte. She's an award-winning lecturer, marketing consultant, and the author of Valuable and Visible. It's her first book. And that's exactly what we delve into here, redefining personal branding by putting impact over image. There's a lot of insights in here. She shares a simple framework that helps you really root down in your personal brands, offering service, substance, and impact. I love the truth framework. You're gonna love it too. Lots to unpack, guys. Make sure you got your notebooks because I had mine out and took a lot of notes in this one. And if you're about your personal brand, this one is definitely one to stay tuned into. Again, check it out at thehiddenwhy.com, episode 1161. We'll talk more at the other end. Hey, Vanessa, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
All the way from Sacramento, California.
Yep. And it's sunny outside today. We're living up to the reputation today.
Sunny California. Well, it's like that on the Sunshine Coast as well, would you believe? So beautiful,
Nice.
wintry sort of day, actually. We've just had the cold weather hit us this morning, which is nice.
Yes, you guys are opposite us. I actually just had some
Yeah.
really good friends move back home to Australia.
Ah,
And I
right.
love their Christmas pictures because it's sunny and warm during the
Totally different.
holidays for you.
Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
we like the pictures of snow and Christmas.
True, true. You kind of get Christmas in July, as
Yeah,
we say.
yeah, absolutely. Well, look, congratulations on your first book,
Oh,
Vanessa.
thank you.
Valuable and Visible, redefining personal branding by leading with impact over image. A lot of us get this branding thing wrong, right? I guess that's where you come in.
Yeah, I mean, I was really inspired to write this because I saw so many humans just feel like they couldn't step into this world of the internet and brand
Mm,
themselves because I think they were kind of turned off by maybe the impression they have of what personal branding is.
right.
So I, you know, started suggesting another way to students and clients, especially as AI has started making things so noisy and content so easy to produce. And actually, when you can combine, I at the UC Davis Graduate School of Management, I actually teach corporate branding, digital marketing, and then I created this personal branding class. And
Right.
I did it by kind of combining the best things from corporate branding and digital marketing that help us be memorable.
Right.
That's really the key to marketing. I always tell people I don't think it's so much about growth as it is about the memorability you need, and then the growth scales, right?
Right.
So, yeah, but it was just, I kept watching in this noisy era, these very talented people just feel like either they couldn't take a chance and step out online or not get the visibility they needed.
Yeah. It's a challenge, and
Yeah.
I guess the personal branding. I mean, you started that course at UC Davis, right? Is
Yeah.
that
Yes.
a new program or a new course?
Yeah. Yeah. I started doing some research when I suggested the course. I'm grateful for my dean and associate dean. They liked the idea. I
Mm,
told them how, this isn't like dancing on TikTok. This is thought leadership. This is media. This is service first. And we can get into that. But I wondered to myself, why aren't more schools teaching this? I think uh, my publisher and I think there's about three 4 credit personal branding courses and MBA programs in the whole US. And I personally hope that changes. I think these days we're all kind of our own package. It's not like, former times where we try to work for one corporation for 30 years and
yeah.
that means you've made it.
Yeah.
Now it's so important to have that portability with that you can take with you.
Yeah. It'd be definitely a growing trend for sure. Like more entrepreneurial
Yeah.
people out there, more people doing their own thing. So very important indeed. Um,
Yeah.
and combining digital marketing with corporate marketing background into the one,
Yeah.
obviously, a very big space. When I think of branding, I overcomplicate it. I'm sure many others do as well. Does it need to be so
Hmm.
complicated?
Yeah. No, I mean,
No?
especially now with AI,
Right.
so many people can put out so much content and create these funnels. And I think sometimes complication is what gets us burned out. And so I always talk about simplifying and creating something that you can do in a couple of hours a week. And so what I try to do is give students a roadmap and clients a roadmap for the most important actions you need to take weekly to become visible online. And so I started in a way where here's first what I want you to do once a week on LinkedIn as you get used to that. Here's how I want you to add more of the digital ecosystem to it so that it's not overwhelming.
Right.
And I can describe that funnel to you, after we kind of dive into the difference between what we maybe think personal branding
Yeah.
is and what actually works.
Like you said, you sort of talk personal branding and think of those people on TikTok, dancing
Yeah.
around or doing their moves or whatever. But it's much more than that, for your brand and becoming valuable and visible to your audience. I suppose we'll start there. Where do people get it wrong? What are we doing wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that when we put the word personal in front of branding, we tend to completely change our frame of reference because personal makes it seem like about us. But if you picture your favorite brand right now and why, when you run out of something, you need that brand. Like I have a pair of running shoe, I know the make, the model, and I know exactly why I want that same running shoe when it starts getting worn out. And
What's
that's
your
because
running
that
shoe?
brand is it's actually a Saucony Ride 7, neutral pronation.
Okay.
And it's always, saved me from shin splints. It's always helped me be a little bit faster. I've tried other models and I just feel like my best runner in it.
Okay.
And that's exactly what it does for me, right? I'm not actually thinking of how it's made. I actually can't tell you why it makes me feel like I can run faster, why it saves me from shin splints. I really can't tell you any of that. But again, that's what I know I need, having tried others. And the same is true personally. And I chuckle sometimes because if someone got in an elevator with you that you didn't know and started giving you an elevator pitch, would you be a little weirded out? I mean,
Yeah.
if someone's tried to stand at a door open, who is this person trying to, for 30 seconds, just give me this elevator pitch about that? But let's say that, people know you have a podcast and people think they might have something to share with your audience. Someone might say, when I go to do this differently with my business, so many people think that when it comes to hiring employees, it's about their past experience and their exact skills and this and that. But I actually see it differently in this way. Here's the first step I take when I hire employees. And they tell you something you didn't know before. They told you how they think of this common concept differently. You want to talk to them for longer because they're signaling they can do something for you.
Hmm.
And that's what corporate brands do. That's how you become memorable. So often these influencers that are, and nothing against that, that's actually a profession. And I try to explain that very carefully to students because that's not what I teach. Influencers are working many hours a day to keep content online that's entertaining, that's viral, that increases follower count every day so that they can in turn go make posts of products for money. Most often, the theme to their posts is general entertainment and lifestyle because it appeals to the widest audience of people.
Right.
And most often, you have to go viral, you have to do all those things based on common trends. We know this through research. That's exhausting and it's similar to a lot of other people, so it's competitive. And what happens when we're doing things that are similar to a lot of other people, it might be entertaining in the moment when it's getting on your feed and on your For You page. But when you leave the feed, you leave people's hearts and minds. But Saucony never leaves my heart and mind because it helps me with something every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when people can do that with their knowledge, But again, you can't say the same thing everyone else might say, right? You have to learn how to become distinctive, which
Hmm.
is also part of it. But when people can do that with their knowledge, now they're acting more like that corporate brand who really entices the consumer based on the offer. I always say, think of the offer like a consumer is stepping out on a tightrope, right? And for you, that's your audience for a personal brand. And you're asking them to listen to you, right? You're asking them to give up some of their time or money in the case of the personal brand at first time and listen to what you have to say and engage with it.
Yeah.
And that is like stepping out on a tightrope because we read 105,000 words a day, or that much comes at us. That's the size of a novel.
Yeah.
And so, whether we know it or not, we're trying to tune out and protect ourselves from the kind of thing you want us to listen to online or you want us to read. And so, it really is a risk for the consumer. So, the product, your credentials and qualifications, who you are, that's just the safety net underneath the tightrope. But the offer is the other side of the tightrope, and that's what gets the audience to step out. So they need that signal that you can do something that they care about for them. You can help them solve a problem, think of something better, think of something in a different way. Then they go naturally find your credentials. It's like when we go to purchase a car,
Right.
the specs of the car, it's like the little tiny window sticker underneath the plastic. Sometimes we don't look at it till after we buy the car because we already know we're buying it to be safer
Mm.
or more prestigious or conserve environmental resources, right? We know why we've connected with it and we've come to trust it based on the fact that it makes us feel like we're doing something to contribute or like we've achieved something or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So you certainly need
And
the credentials and the
that's where the
backing.
self-promotion, yeah, that's
Yeah.
where the self-promotion is gone because you go naturally find that about the product you want. And it's the same thing for the people, right? Your bio is going to be up on LinkedIn. You have bios everywhere in your workplace, everywhere like that. People are going to find it. You just don't have to shout it so hard because you've already proven your value to that person who's benefited. And that, when someone helps you with something, they trust you, right? That's what value does.
Yeah. Right.
Now all of
Okay.
a sudden you're remembered off the feed, right? Because you're helpful.
Right. So it's important to have that obviously there. So when people do come search for you, they can find out about you and
Yes.
curiosity, look in a little
Yeah,
bit deeper and
everybody.
do their research.
Yeah, and you don't have to be as stressed about it either. Everyone thinks, what's the exact format for a bio? What's the
Right.
exact thing I should do for this? The thing is, it's not if you have to have an exact format for a bio to make the bio stand out, you're not standing out in that other way of distinction. You know what
Mm.
I mean? Like, you know how there's two people and they could be the same age, same position as far as what they do for a living, and maybe one is so much more interesting than the other. That's
Yeah.
not because they wrote a bio better than someone else. All bios are pretty boring. That's why we forget them after we leave the feed, right? It's that they've learned how to speak about their knowledge in a way that makes people go, wait a second, like personal branding really isn't about you, right? All of a sudden you've touched on something. You've helped people see it in a different way. Tony
Right.
Robbins, the famous motivational speaker that most of us have encountered
Yeah.
at some point, he always says, knowledge is not power, knowledge is potential power, action is power. He's kind of saying knowledge is power, right? But he's saying there's more to it. And so he's signaling based on like this common thing that he knows you're going to pick up on. Because now you're sitting there saying, well, that's what I thought. What am I doing wrong? I have knowledge, but it's not turning into power, right? And he's saying, well, you're not doing the things to make it turn into power.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he's that distinctive person over here, and everybody else is saying knowledge is power. And so this is something that, I think a lot of people think like, well, Tony Robbins, man, he is just naturally born a leader and born distinctive. But, he had to learn how to walk and talk like everybody else.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
he's
that's
bloody
what I
worked
want
out
to push
hard at it,
back
hasn't he?
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if we can teach corporate brands how to be distinctive in those ways that they're memorable off the feeds, right? Can't we teach humans? I
Well, I
mean,
hope so.
why do we think it's magic and we have to be born with this aura when we're humans? When every single day in marketing, we go do this with products and organizations.
So how do we avoid talking about ourselves and then, defining our offer and defining how we get someone's attention to listen?
Absolutely. So I tell people if you know something, you can become distinctive. So congratulations, because
Right.
most of us hate this anyway. You don't really have to think about you and everything that makes up you and what you need more to, appeal to someone, right? Take that out of it for a second here's what I have people think about. And to remember it, it spells out truth. So any knowledge you have, if it's related to your profession, great, but if not, that's okay, because still your distinction is going to stand out. Take something and ask yourself, the first T is tropes. What does everybody think about this? Right? So everybody thinks knowledge is power.
So what's the first T?
Tropes. Like tropes is the plot in the common plot that most novels have, right? What's the trope? You could also replace that with think. What does everybody think about this? Everyone thinks knowledge is power. Everyone thinks you floss twice a day. Everyone thinks you eat dinner before dessert, right? So what is something and what is the most common thing people think about it? The second thing is the real problem. Real problem is how you view it differently. So Tony Robbins might say, well, the real problem is that people don't take action with their knowledge. I might say, well, the real problem is that when we think personal branding is about us, we're forgetting all the good things that make brands memorable. And then the U is understanding of a better solution. So first you write a sentence about the trope, then you write a sentence about the real problem, just in a note paper, take notes on your phone. Third sentence, understanding of the real problem. So, instead of trying to think about better ways to talk about yourself, think about better ways to talk about things that you approach differently and help people, right? Like corporate brands do, the good ones. The next T is tested reasoning or evidence, right? Now you have to believe me. So write a sentence. Well, I have seen this work hundreds of times with X, or research shows Y. You need to have research, observation, proof, right? And then that last H is how to act. What can a consumer do to realize that you're right? This is oftentimes what we forget, because if you can say, next time you're in an elevator, not that we really do this, but next time you're talking to someone that thinks that, that you think they can do something for you professionally, try asking them what they're struggling with and presenting a better solution to them, or try presenting how you do a certain thing differently that might be able to help them, and see how the conversation goes. And so then when we act a certain way, right? Or next time you think you have knowledge, take one action that might help you get further with that knowledge, right? Simple stuff here. But when people act a certain way, and it works, then they trust you. That's what makes them want to come back and follow you, because you did something to help them on that other side of the screen. And it also makes you more distinctive and memorable in person, right? We lean forward for these people who have new ideas. And, this is what they're doing. This is how they're thinking. So a lot of times people will go to make a post and tell AI these days, right? Here's what I want to convey. Here's what I, definitely want to show. Please write this post. And then you sound like everybody else. Insert, hey, I'm so excited to give you this update, or hey, I just won this award, whatever it is, right? And you sound like everyone else. And that's what AI is going to make you sound like, because the large language model, it looks for patterns. And it looks for patterns by, the 2.5 billion queries it gets a day. It tries to give the answer that's going to please the most, which is the most general answer that most people click away after they read. And so you're going to get the most common thing, and you're going to sound like the same thing on the internet, and people don't want to read that as part of their novel every day. They want to skip it. They're overwhelmed. And so what I like to have people do is put these 5 sentences of the truth framework into AI and say, here's how I approach this differently. And then give me 20 more alternative approaches to this, right? Follow this framework and give me 20 more things I might be missing. And all of a sudden, you're using AI as a thinking partner. And you're going to uncover something really cool. You're probably going to uncover a few things that you do differently anyway. And then you can say, okay, now give me, 10 to 20 hooks of how I can say this in a counterintuitive way. That everyone thinks personal branding is about you. Everyone's wrong, right? Knowledge is not power. Action is power. And so once you do that, you realize all of a sudden you're becoming distinctive. And I tell people, do that as you theme kind of what you want to talk and teach about online, but just do that before you go into any meeting, any interaction. Start practicing that, because if AI could do that, it would be doing that. We wouldn't have to prompt it in a special way.
Mm.
I mean, technology moves fast, right? And I live an hour away from the epicenter of all of these creators of technology. I know many of them. I've worked with a lot of them, right? They're not going to sit on something that can be created and is not being created, right? They're going to go make the thing. So if we could give AI empathy, if we could give it the ability to question the question, it would be learning that right now, right?
Mm.
And so that's our superpower still.
Yeah, yeah. So truth. I like this. And so
Mhm.
still using AI to help you with the creation, just not
Yep.
relying on AI just to do it without your input. Tropes or the
Hmm.
thoughts, the think, the plot, would you say?
Yep. Yep. The
The real
common thing
problem?
everyone thinks.
Yep.
Hmm.
I'm just taking notes here. So hopefully everyone else is too. The
Hmm.
common thing everyone thinks. So, and the real problem?
Hmm. Yep. What's the real problem that you see?
Yep. Understanding. So your
Understanding
understanding, that's your,
your better way, your understanding of a better way.
so kind of like your solution.
Yep.
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 And then you're tested. So it's just evidence of where you've seen it.
Tested reasoning. Yep. So this can be
Reasoning.
evidence, observations, success stories, some kind of proof.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then finally you have your H, how to act. And
Yeah. Right.
you just thought of a lot of different words for these steps that I told you. And this is another thing. So once you start thinking about your distinctive point of view, what I did was I said, here's the 5 steps I think people need to take to form a distinctive point of view. And then I started thinking about what word I could make it work with, like truth, right? Sometimes people go like 3 C's or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are called frameworks. We know this,
Yeah.
right? We just hesitate to create them for anything we do. We think that somehow they're magically created by other people, but look how elevated things sound when you can put them in frameworks.
Hmm.
So I always tell people start with finding a distinctive point of view once a week, then put how you want people to learn something into a framework. So, like, what are the 3 steps to turning your knowledge into action, right? Um, and then I have this little format where you tell a little lead in story, right? Like, I'm so tired of seeing the most excellent students in the world that can get into one of the top business schools in the US not be able to find the opportunities they want because they're disappearing online.
Yeah.
Why am I telling you this? Because I think that we've been taught how to brand ourselves all wrong. Here are the first 5 steps you need to take to become more distinctive and memorable. This is a 3-part statement, a 3-part post. The story lead in, right? Number 2, that segue, that moment, that counterintuitive, here's what I'm going to signal that I'm going to show you differently. And then that framework that actually helps people learn something, try something like we just did with the truth framework, and hopefully have it succeed so that people trust you and want to listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. So using AI, so you still use AI to help you with these frameworks, with these ideas, but using
Yeah.
this
I
framework in
mean,
particular as an input to say, hey, using this, let's come up with some
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, to become a thinking partner. So how I always say like if I taught people how not to use AI, if I said stay away from AI because it smashes you into sameness, I would not be a very good instructor in 2026.
Yeah.
AI is a tool that we all can be using to optimize. It's just that it's like anything else, any other tool. When you use it the same way as everybody else, you get the same results as everybody else. And now you're in that competitive arena that we're trying to escape all the time, every day, as this crazy busy world with lots of people, right? We know this, we do this
Yeah.
every
Yeah. Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you use this tool, in a more efficient way, in a way that actually helps you? Because I always say, imagine this, like if you're at a 6 as far as creating content, AI is going to be exhilarating when you start using it because it's going to elevate you to an 8. But if you're at a 10, AI is going to bring you to an 8. AI is just putting us in a sea of 8s, and that's going to become the norm. And so, how do we retain our 10? Or how do we get to that 10?
Mm.
Because now, if you were never a 10 before, but you can use AI as a thinking partner and prompt it the right way,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you have a chance at being a 10. So it's actually really a great tool to use because it has, like I just told you, 2.5 billion queries a day. So, I mean, we used to pay a lot of money to get that kind of data in market research. And now we can just ask AI for it. What are the 20 things people are asking me again that I've missed?
Yeah.
What are the
Yeah.
20 things that you encounter? So I think AI is a wonderful thing to use. I just think if we use it the same as everybody else, we're not doing anything for ourselves in terms of competitive advantage.
Yeah. And people will start switching off. They're already, seeing it and commenting and what AI is
Yeah.
posted and created as opposed to, the real person. The question I have around, I guess, sharing something that to be seen as more valuable. I guess is that authenticity. Like I feel like when people go to AI and
Yeah.
use this, then they might come across less authentic because they're sort of reading from text and it's not really them talking about it. How do you overcome that problem? Because I've actually faced it where I know what I want to say and then I use AI and then it gives me something else that's kind of similar but different. And then if
Yeah.
I just try and repeat that, it's just terrible rather than me just talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Do that. So you have this three-part post, story lead in,
Yeah.
segue, and framework, 3 to 5 step framework. And I always tell people draft it first, but that doesn't mean you have to write it. You can do text you can just start talking to the AI
Yeah.
and say, here's what I want, and do it a little more long form. Put as much information in there as you can. And that's why I think thinking about a story lead in is so important. We remember stories 30% more than we remember basic facts. And I mean, we actually physically start releasing oxytocin, the love hormone that makes chocolate, make us feel so good, right? When we start taking a bite, right? So stories are powerful, but the internet doesn't like beginning, a middle, and end because we are so chaotically busy. It wants you to go right to the middle, right? I'm tired of seeing talented students being ignored. That's right to the middle. I don't talk to you about how I first came in contact with these students. I don't talk to you about my outcome. I go right to the problem.
Right.
And then segue and then give your steps, right? So that is step one in being more authentic. But step two is something I call the VABLOG. So eventually,
The
I
what? The
want you
bad
to
log?
turn these VABLOG, VABLOG, video
Uh-huh.
and blog.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of people say vlog for video blogs, and that's not what I'm talking about either, because the internet likes words and video. That's what it likes in 2026. Words, like you said, can either be authentic or not, and they're sounding more and more inauthentic depending on how we use AI. And so video is what's going to make you authentic. And so you can create this three-part piece of written content that I just described. But then I tell everybody, take your phone and record yourself in selfie mode and say, "Hi, I'm Vanessa Errecarte, and today I'm going to teach you a better way to use AI," right? Something like that. That's all you have to do. Now you get that video portion of it to post as well. And then you have that written content as well. So imagine that once a week on LinkedIn. Now let's extrapolate it. This is the end goal. The end goal is have your own website, have your own house for all of this weekly information. Why do I say that? Because this is, again, like corporate branding 101. Corporate brands never, ever leave their audience to chance. They would be horrified if Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, name any other social media CEO, here, controlled their audience. But as humans, we think that it's all about building that platform of followers all the time, and we leave it all to chance. If you're going to
Yeah.
go do hard work on social media, you want to have your own website. Also, you want to protect your owned online identity. And what I mean by that is social media is rented space. Social media is where we discover people, but then you want to take people and you want to have them opt into a space that's more internet or intimate,
Yeah.
like email or text.
Yeah.
And then you can get a hold of people and own that audience. This is marketing 101 for corporations, but we don't think about it for ourselves.
Mm.
But then as the consumer, the audience that is listening to you, if you can send them an email or give them a text, they feel like that's more personal than social media. Even email. We have research showing that, 5 times as much people see email as a more personal space. And so again, this is that eventually thing. Let's say you've been doing once a week posts on LinkedIn, and now you have been doing it for 3 months. You have 12 of these thought leadership posts. Now, let's say you start a very simple personal website. You have 12 blog posts. You already look very active. And actually making a homepage for that is very simple, because we also have research that we have decision fatigue as consumers because of this overload of 1,005 words a day, or 105,000 words a day. And so we don't like to sift through a lot of information to make decisions.
Yeah.
Simple is best. So you want header, opt in to a way that you can get a hold of someone again, simple homepage, and then the blog. And I do take people through that step by step in my teaching, my book, etc. But here's the last thing that signals too is I'm really enjoying this conversation with you. And as I told you before we started recording, I really enjoy your podcast. And so please don't take offense to this, but if the police department texted me right now and said my identity's been stolen, you need to come down, I would say I need to stop recording and come down. I would really care. That's like, the most important thing to us, right? So we protect that in person. We would charge someone with a crime if they stole our identity.
Yeah.
But online, we don't protect our identity. Most of us don't own our URLs,
Yeah.
and so I really encourage people to do that. So then you have this house of the website, and then you start picking some other social platforms. Instagram, for example, is great for thought leadership because you can auto post to Facebook, so you can cover meta. And over 60% of people go to Instagram purposefully to look for brands. It is a great place. It's growing in its, thought leadership potential.
Yeah.
Other brands of choice, other social media of choice, you can slowly add to this. And if you have your website, you're going to have to be passively posting those video lead-ins each week on YouTube, which is owned by Google, which gives you even more search engine optimization because video content is prioritized. So you can see how this one piece of content travels so far on the internet. That's your email newsletter each week. That's everything.
Yeah.
And so now you're doing this like a mini corporation would, which stands out so much from everybody else, because really only 1% of people post on social platforms. Most people don't have their personal website, and most people don't think about how they're going to show up each week online. So what an advantage if you're thinking about that, right? Like think about, well, it would be bad for you personally to use this as an example because you do think about how you're going to show up online. But, most of us are just thinking about, what meetings do we have to go to? Who do we need to make sure we talk to this week? What deliverables do we have to have completed? How do we show up to make sure we get all this done? We think about that in person. We don't think about that as much online, yet we spend over 8 hours a day online. And then we eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom. So more of our time is spent in a place that we're not thinking about.
What you say LinkedIn, like you've said, use LinkedIn. Is that the primary one we should start with for any brand or personal brand? And why is that?
Yes. So LinkedIn is growing right now at a very rapid rate, especially with between 25 and 44-year-olds, faster than many other social platforms in the US.
Why?
It's that a lot of times, like I haven't found correlation, except that one thing that Generation Z prioritizes is that autonomy. I think we are going into more of a fractionalized workplace, where the human is we're more portable. We don't go into this job, for 30 years anymore. And so making it never really happens. I think we're always all kind of at the mercy of what is that next step? What is that? What's the next thing after this first thing ends? In fact, sometimes we stymie our growth if we stay places too long. So it's a very different workplace than it used to be. So I think we all quietly understand the importance. And LinkedIn LinkedIn really overhauled their algorithm in August of 2023 because it was starting to get a little too business to consumer. So you can't actually say you need to go buy the thing on LinkedIn. You can talk about the process of creating the thing. You're punished now by the algorithm if you say go buy the thing. And so I think that's a comfortable place for people to start thought leadership because it's the exact kind of content the algorithm prioritizes. And it's the exact kind of content that requires no self-promotion, and so, and obviously people that go to be on LinkedIn are looking for that kind of content.
Yeah.
I'm not going on LinkedIn expecting to be entertained. I'm going on LinkedIn expecting to learn.
Okay. So with the content you're creating, like a short video, is it also short sort of copy, but then trying to get people to go across to research you more at your website or your home base,
Yeah.
as you call it? So really keeping that
But
short online, or is there
mhm.
sort of products and services where we could waffle on a bit more? Because I see some posts sometimes, and again, I don't scroll too much on any of them, but sometimes I'll see a post that's like, a
Yeah.
whole page. I'm just like, oh, Jesus. And maybe some people read
Yeah.
it. I don't know.
So a mix of long form and short form because people
It's
have
good.
different tastes.
Mm.
Like you said, some people read it, some people don't. So you can put the long form that I just described once a week. Same thing on LinkedIn, same thing on the blog. But then what I encourage people to do is try to take smaller snippets and say, okay, on Tuesday I posted these 3 steps to, turning your knowledge into action. Today, let's take a deeper dive into step one. Here's the first thing I think you should do, and yada yada yada. For the rest of it, in case you missed the rest of the steps, go to my blog post. And that's when you can drive people to that website so that they'll opt in to your owned audience. But again, this is something that people do without thinking about how to do it in a different way. So most people say, follow this link and opt into my email, or follow the link in my bio, opt into my email. But consumers don't want to do that anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, when I have a few minutes before I fall asleep, I'm doing like the same doom scroll that everybody else is and trying to entertain myself on social platforms. I don't want to go click away on a link. Those are my like really fun, few minutes to indulge. I'm entertaining myself. And so I always say what you should do is say, take a screenshot and come back to this when it's on your mind to actually do it, right? To actually try it. And then put your website in big letters there or put a QR code. People are going to screenshot it. And then all of a sudden, the next time they pick up their phone, you're the first image that they see. And they're reminded
Mm,
of that
smart.
knowledge that you have to
Mm.
offer. So we have to just think, about in the zero click atmosphere that AI is creating, because when you search on Gemini or whatever is, you have that general paragraph now. And then people don't have to click away. So, and this has happened a long time on social media. You've had these feeds, right? Like Instagram, TikTok, they feed you things. Like you don't even have to use your finger if you're on Instagram stories or TikTok, it's going to feed it to you. And
Right.
so it trains our brains, and we
Well,
don't
I was
click
wondering
away.
about that because I mean, yeah, for me, like clicking on links now and subscribing to a website or whatever, 10 years ago, doing it regularly.
Yeah.
And then now I'm just like, I don't want it. Like, unless I'm really involved, then
Unless
maybe, or if
it,
I've purchased
yep.
or something, then
And
yeah.
that's what value does. That's what value does, right? If someone's very intrigued by step one of this thing they really need, yeah, you're going to go research that. You're going to go to find the step two, but you want to do it on your own time. You
Mm,
want to
mm.
do it in your own way. So you need to become intriguing enough. That social media is all about the emotional connection. You need to be intriguing enough there to get people to want to go find you in other places because that's where memorability comes in. That's where, when you're off the feed, people still remember you because they've found you in other places. It's
Is
like
it
in real
always
life when
best
we're
to
trying to
have,
make. Mhm.
sorry, is it always best to have video with your post, or is it still images still work? Or because I find like, videos are just more powerful now than ever before.
Yeah,
And images, seem to be just get mixed in there with everything else. And
you definitely want that once a week video. You could do
yeah, right.
images. I mean, images is better than nothing. And carousel images are good for the algorithm in that people are required to swipe to see each picture. So your engagement goes up
Right.
based on what the algorithm thinks. I
Yeah.
would say,
Bit of a mix.
as you get used to this and you go beyond the once a week stuff, add a mix, but focus on that once a week at first where you have that written content with the video lead in. And that's, again, I want you to get the most bang for your buck doing the most important things in a streamlined way so you don't give up
Yeah.
because this compounds over time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's what scares a lot of people off is like, oh, just I've got to produce content and pump out stuff every day, and then it becomes too overwhelming, and it's like, oh,
Because we're used to influencers, right? And that's, again, what makes me so sad that smart, talented humans shy away from the opportunity out there because they think it has to be the way they most commonly see it, but they're only seeing
Right.
1% of people. Like I said, only 1% of people are responsible for most of the posts online.
Yeah.
And so if you're only seeing that one skewed part of one industry, people that are working full time at this, then you're not really seeing differently, which
Yeah.
is why I was so motivated to start this class, to write this book, because I am tired of seeing very deserving humans lose that chance.
Yeah. Yeah. The branding, so your face or your logo, should that be on everything, like your videos and everywhere?
Well, I tell people it's so easy to design the logo with things like Canva or AI. Do that
Yeah,
for your
yeah.
website. But yeah, I face to camera videos are the best kind because it immediately, like, especially if you're looking right into the account camera, you're making eye contact. That's one of the number one actions humans can do to gain trust, as we know from social psychology research. And so that you have that advantage going for you. And also, please try not to filter or edit too hard, because a lot of people are scared to go face to camera because they think they're going to be imperfect, but that's exactly what converts by over 20% more. Right now, if I have spinach in my teeth, I don't know if I do. No, I
No.
don't. Dang it. I'd convert better if I did, because you'd be like, I had spinach in my teeth once. She must be human. And we're craving human and authenticity. It's why reality TV got so popular. We're like seeing people we think we can relate to rather than perfect celebrities,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Same is true online. So many people hesitate to go pick up their camera. And right now, like, you could do that. You could pick up your camera. I'm doing it right now. I could put it in selfie mode, turn it toward me, and say, Hi, I'm Vanessa Errecarte, and today I'm going to teach you a better way to brand yourself. And then I'm going to stop. And that could be posted right there,
Yeah.
just the way I've shown up, you know? And if you say like I just did, good. You're a human. You're a
Yeah,
human.
and sticking, so not watching what other people are doing, go, okay, I'll do it like that, just doing it your own, what's comfortable for you, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which, what about the
Yeah.
imposter syndrome of getting out there and like, I feel like that's probably putting a lot of people off, me included. You know, what do I have to share? What is my knowledge? Like, I don't have this to share, but I mean, everyone has value to give.
Yeah. I mean, the internet would be so interesting if we all gave that value, right? And I always tell people it could be pretty selfish to hold
Mm,
back.
mm,
I actually have a case study in the book where I had an optometrist in class, and she told me on the first day of class, she's seen patient day in, day out. And she came to the M.B.A program because she was interested in doing more of a variety of things. And she
right.
was really interested in maybe doing more speaking, things like that, industry stuff. And she said that, I'm really interested in dry eye disease. And I said, well, we have eye drops for that. And she said, well, there's more to it. Dry eye disease is, first of all, becoming an epidemic because of screen time. We're seeing it much younger. And also, people don't realize that sometimes with dry eye disease, it's the underlying cause, in fact, very often. And so, not only are your eyes the window to your soul, they're the window to your physical health. You could be having an autoimmune disease, it could be like some kind of cancer, diabetes, so many things cause dry eye, right? And so she started saying, like, would you treat this disorder with an eye drop? Or would you be looking deeper? And then she started researching all these innovative treatments for dry eye. And all of a sudden, she was saying, I have a better way. And she makes half of her income now teaching other optometrists about dry eye, this problem we thought we'd solved. And so the funny thing is, so often the
Mm,
most simple ideas, because she was actually afraid, is it too simple, right? To talk about this thing. I don't think it's simple. She didn't think it was simple. But she's like, would people think it's too simple? Would they scroll on by because they think it has a solution? And it's like, well, not when you challenge people that they might be treating their diabetes with eye drops, right?
yeah.
Those optometrists want to go collaborate with the primary care physicians. And so it's the simplest ideas that scale sometimes
Yeah.
because people understand the base of it. And so I always tell people, you might feel uncomfortably because you're actually kind of a pioneer. If you make us think about dry eye in a different way than we ever have before, that is scary. You
Mm,
know, true pioneers, when they were like going to find land, like they died of cholera, right? I played the Oregon Trail growing up, and we were always like, our oxen were like drowning and stuff. If you remember that game, right? It's hard to be a pioneer. but that's a signal if you're saying something that people haven't said before. And if
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
saying that, that's great because it means you found your distinction, you found your value.
And how do you go about testing it then? So once someone does this first time, second time, third time, a lot of people probably think, oh, I need 100,000 views and viral
Yeah.
video first time around. That doesn't happen. Like, how do they assess whether it's actually getting cut through without big numbers of people liking it and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, I always say your personal brand's your lab. Small audiences are great because likely you're going to have good friends, your spouse, your mom in that small audience, right?
Mm,
They're going to be nice to you, but they're also going to, by their behavior, show you what they like more and what they don't. And so you're going to get an
yeah, okay.
idea of what you should be speaking about more. And also, smaller audiences convert because I'd much rather have 2 people out of 10 that might do something for me than millions of people intending to lurk on the entertaining stuff I'm doing every day. So what I tell people to do is take your engagement rate, which you can get if you're on LinkedIn Premium, or Instagram professional page. Take your engagement rate and divide it by views or clicks. Excuse me, any active engagement, and then divide it by the clicks. That's your engagement rate. And
Uh-huh.
so, if you divide 1 by 100 versus 1 by 10, that small audience is going to have a higher engagement rate if one person engaged.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
again, I think we get into the amount of views and clicks when really we should be looking at our engagement because those are the people that go do stuff for us. It's
yeah,
like real life. Wouldn't you rather have 10 trusted friends than 100 friends that you couldn't call if you need help?
yeah, absolutely. And with the algorithms on socials, I've heard this and don't know if it's true or not, but it makes sense. Putting your website link in there and asking people to go outside the platform,
Yeah.
do they rank you lower, the posts that do that? Like, how does that work?
Sometimes, but sometimes if you and so people get around that a lot by putting it in comments, but then sometimes people miss it. So I say like once a week, at least put it right in that post. If you're starting out with these once a week posts, you
Yeah,
could say for more, go here. Do that. You're fine. It's not like every single day you're trying to drive people to your website. It's when multiple times a day, every single day people do this. Well, yeah, then you're kind of a disruptor.
hmm.
You're going to get punished for it. But if you're starting out with these once a week posts, you have to think about the business model of the platform. They want you to do that more because more people that are posting and interacting are driving the business of their platform.
Yeah,
So if you're not abusing it, you're fine.
yeah,
It's when you're abusing it and people are constantly leaving to go buy your discounted stuff, right? That's when you get punished. But that's mainly like that influencer, right?
right,
You're
yeah,
not
yeah.
going to have to be worried about that on
Not
day
going to
one.
be
But yeah,
okay.
mix it up, but at least once a week, put it right there.
And is there too much? Like, is there are there things we're doing wrong on there that actually turns people off?
Um, I mean, again, if you've just said something that's really helpful to someone and then you try to smash like 5 of your credentials in there, it might seem a little self-serving.
Right.
We like conversations, and the best way to stop a conversation is to be like, and by the way, did you know you can get this much financing and this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. It's like good salespeople, they don't stop the conversation.
Yeah.
They let the conversation go, and then they have a very soft close as they're saying goodbye. And then
Yeah.
you kind of turn around and you wait and you discover more, you make the purchase, you research
Mm,
more.
hmm.
That's how we want to be as our own brands. And another thing that this is the hidden thing that can turn people off too. If you're not taking control of your brand in 2026, someone else is. So I don't know if you saw the New York Times last month when it said that John Turnus might be the next CEO of Apple. And they were talking about John Turnus and who he is. And there was this one sentence in there, and it said, now the choice for Apple is do they want another deft manager or an innovator? And a deft manager, it's not bad. I mean, you know how to manage people well, you're making incremental profit. Like deft managers are fine, they're good, they keep the engine running. But poor John Turnus, I don't think he's just a deft manager. I think he's an innovator too. It's just no one ever told him he needed to be distinctive. We get places we're taught that it's based on being excellent and skill, right? But in the age of AI, that's getting categorized, right? That's the common stuff that Google's smashing into the first paragraph.
Right.
And so we have to be distinctive to earn our own line. And we need to be doing that early because we're all going to meet this moment of leadership when everything pivots.
Mm,
All of a sudden you go from doing the skill to lifting the organization up based on your knowledge and ideas. And if you're an entrepreneur or a founder or something like that, that's who you've had to be all along to scale your business.
Yeah.
But this is a problem for people that, are moving up in their career too, because everybody's going to be met with a moment. And how do you want to be known? And so that's another reason why I'm like, I don't want hesitant people to be turned off because they think the internet is about performance, because they're going to meet that moment and they're going to be misrepresented. It's just how it is in this noisy information era.
Yeah, true. Nice one. Lots covered. I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything that I've missed that you want to touch on before we wrap things up here?
I mean, I always warn people I could speak forever about this, but I think we've jumped into a lot of it. And I think one thing is, in my book and in real life, I always tell people I don't want to ask you to do something I wouldn't do. I'm the marketer that does my marketing last, just like the accountant that does the taxes last, right? Because none of us have time.
Yeah.
And I'm also not going to give you a case study about how a celebrity built a great personal brand, because that's not what you want or who you are. So I always just talk about normal people like Dr. Hornick, trying to help people with dry eye that were actually, deteriorating more with eye drops because it was treating the symptom and not the problem, right? I want to take normal people like you and I and elevate them for normal things that they know, but making it distinctive and memorable, right? So I just hope that what I can leave people with is you have it inside you, and like you have a right to have part of the internet. It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to all of us.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity to belong there. You think you have a right to work hard and have a house, have a car, all that. You have a spot on the internet too.
Yeah. Nicely said. And Vanessa, how can people best connect with you? I've got some links here that I'll stick in the show notes. So LinkedIn, Instagram, obviously, your website, anywhere else you want people to
go? Those are three great places, VanessaErrecarte.com. And then, as you said, my Instagram and LinkedIn is where I do a lot of my own thought leadership, and then the extra resources on my website. So thank you. I appreciate it. That's very generous. Thank you.
Yeah, love it. Promote the book as well, Valuable and Visible. Link in the show notes there, guys, as well at thehiddenwhy.com. So make sure you check it out. And all the links for Vanessa will be there as well. Vanessa, thanks once again for coming on the show today. Thanks so much for having me. Guys, check it out, thehiddenwhy.com. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon. Bye for now. Have a good one. Okay, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in this week to this interview. I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had. Make sure you check it out at thehiddenwhy.com for the show notes and links to our guest. And if you have any comments, any suggestions for the show, please make sure you reach out as well. Also, would like to just ask a favor. If you do like what you're listening to, if you love what you're hearing, make sure you subscribe. Whether you're listening to this on iTunes, wherever it might be, subscribe to the podcast so you can stay up to date with all the latest episodes. And some exciting changes happening this year at The Hidden Why, including the launch of our new website, which will be updated very soon. So watch this space for that, guys. And once again, live more fully, have more meaning, find more joy. We'll see you around the next interview.